Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays, although it is another episode of the Madness and Mayhem podcast, another episode where you get to put on your headphones, just kind of kick back and relax and listen to some stuff that's going on. Anyway, hope you're doing well wherever you are today, whether it is day or night, doesn't matter to me as long as you're coming to hang out. So today I wanted to talk about something kind of interesting. You may have noticed some new content on my channel. It's come out already yesterday, I think, from the time of recording here, or when this gets posted, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so what's happening is I'm not turning into an EAS channel. Don't worry, I'm not going to be doing, just constant EAS things, and I'll get to that in a little bit, the reason why. The reason that I'm doing this is because, I made an EAS thing about, 9-10 months ago for my channel, and it was just me kind of goofing around. I used to be in radio, and I don't know. I just had kind of a hankering to do sort of a radio drama, kind of like War of the Worlds. And the last time I did anything like this was back when I was in radio college, broadcast college, and we had one to do as a project. But that one was a lot different than what you hear on this channel, because back then I had a reel-to-reel machine and tape and cellophane tape and a razor blade and a whole bunch of cart systems and stuff. Essentially the setup that you see in the EAS that dropped yesterday. Like that radio console was kind of the level of equipment that I worked with back then. And so what I did is I had to cut the reel-to-reel tape a certain way and splice it together with cellophane tape and all that stuff. But so it was extremely fun to do that back then. Create a fictional scenario and have a news broadcaster doing something about it, kind of looking at it from a third-person perspective. And I always thought it was a neat thing, but time went on. And I never really got the chance to do that when I was on the air as an actual personality, right? So I did news, and I also did morning shows and stuff. And it just always, it was something I wanted to do, but I never really got the chance to actually dig in and do that stuff. So on and off, just chance thing that I just wanted to do one. I just kind of drafted one up real quick, wrote the script, went out and just got some sound assets and designed this whole audio experience that you hear in the first one that I did, which is called the Oort Cloud Reckoning. It's about an asteroid that comes towards Earth. I'm not going to spoil it. Let's see if I can link it right here. Yeah, right up there in the corner. Click that and you'll get right to my first EAS creation. It's about 30 minutes long, and it's just kind of it takes you through kind of a horrible situation that the Earth goes through. Anyway, that one's kind of a fun one. But the thing is, it kind of sat dead for a while on my channel, right? It was just kind of some people that would look up an EAS scenario, would find it and just kind of look at it real quick and go through it. Some would watch it all the way through. Some would just watch about 30 seconds of it. And it always, it just kind of floated on my channel. Well, about a month and a half ago, YouTube decided that it was okay content to start showing to more people on their service. And so it started to get in the recommended for a lot more people. And at the same time, the EAS simulation scenario kind of thing that this whole genre has started to bubble a little bit hotter on YouTube. And so there's a lot more people searching for it. I think it's because there's so much crazy shit going on in the world right now that people are just kind of wish casting. They want to it's almost like trauma therapy, right? They want to experience the trauma, the full horror of something awful happening. Because I think there's also this thing, and this was a comment on my last video. Someone said that, they're praying for this kind of black swan event basically every day, because humanity is just so fucked right now that it's just please, asteroid, come wipe us out. I swear, please. That kind of thing. So I think it's become kind of a hotter thing going on, because a little bit of what's going on in the world and a little bit of what's going on, in people's minds. We're in a really anxious period of humanity right now, I guess is the best way to put it. So I made this thing just for fun. I put it out, and it suddenly started to get hotter, and I started to get all these comments. You know, people like, "Wow, this is really good," or "Wow, that's really good," and I'm like, you know, I don't know what I should do here, because I'm a channel that normally has, VR gameplay, and I talk about stupid shit that I've done in my life, or incredible stories that I've been through, experiences that are very, very unique. If you haven't checked out my channel and you're here for the EAS stuff and you saw EAS in the title of this, I really invite you to go check out the other stuff on my channel, because how do I put this? If you really want a good way to just unplug from the rest of the world and just kind of laugh and maybe watch some incredibly messy gameplay in a game called Blade and Sorcery, mostly. It's on the Quest. Anyway, I think it's funny to play that game and like chop people up while I'm telling you like stories from my life. I don't know. It's also a memory trick. I have brain damage. Anyway, go check out my channel. There's other stuff on there that'll tell you all sorts of stuff about me. So if you're someone that's here for the EAS stuff, go take a look at my channel. You'll probably like it. It's a good way to just kind of chill out. No drama, no news, no politics, none of that shit. I don't really like doing that on this channel, because this is really just a place to escape for me and for anyone else that tunes in. So I decided, after all those comments and all that traffic that it's been getting lately, to do another one. So there's a little bit more of a motivation behind it than that, though. And here it is. There has been a huge trend going on YouTube, on social media, everywhere. Your grandma on Facebook is kind of getting blasted in the face with this. Everyone, that's a bad way to put something. Anyway, it's all over the place, and it is AI slop. Okay, AI slop is this thing where you just kind of put out whatever garbage, and it's just like talking cats and like, world leaders doing the hustle and shit like that. And it's so terrible sometimes to see that. I mean, there are, there's humor in a lot of that stuff, like those chiropractor videos. Oh, I loved those so much. Like, to see like some chiropractor grab an old lady and like throw her through a wall, and she's like, "Oh, that feels so much better, thank you." Those are hilarious to me. Stuff like that is funny. I like using stuff like Grok Imagine in order to create things. There's stuff on my channel that I create with AI. Some of the artwork that you see for thumbnails. There's graphics in some of my videos that I create with AI, and it's because I'm using it to augment the creativity that I already have. I'm just not an artistic person, and so I can't like draw something that would be realistic enough, or the vision that I want to go with, for a thumbnail or for some graphic in my video, like the one that just came out yesterday. All the main graphics that you see are AI assist, right? So I asked to make a radio station that was analog, and boom, that's the one you saw. I asked for an EMP strike thing, and boom, that's what you saw in that. So I like to use it as an augmentation for the creativity that I already have, but I'm not able to express because of whatever reasons. When I got my second brain injury, when I was about 17, 18, I lost the ability to use both my hands at the same time on anything that, I used to be able to play guitar. And after the brain injury, I couldn't, because my hands don't work with each other anymore. So art for me can be a little rough if I'm trying to sketch something correctly, and I don't know. It's noticeable if you go back and look at some of my content, like some of the art and stuff. If I tried to do something artistic and fix something, it's really, it looks awkward as fuck. So, anyway, so for that use, I think it's great. If you're doing something and you just need a little bump of artistic flair or creativity or whatever, AI is great. Okay, it helps with a lot of stuff. I've done a couple episodes on how amazing AI is for doing stuff like bringing people back to life from photos that have been dead, bringing your own old photos back to life. Like, I have high school yearbook photos from when I was 11, 12, and it literally brought me back to life, what I fully looked like at that age. It's just some creepy stuff. Anyway, so here's my problem, though. With the rise of these EAS and disaster simulation channels, there has also been a domination in this genre of people using AI from front to back, right? And here's the issue that I have. I'm going to give away some secrets in the industry that they're going to be pissed about, and I don't really care because I don't use any of those tools to do my stuff, so fuck them. So here's the thing. There are complete websites. One of them is called Wonder Labs. It's a site where you go to, and to use it correctly, you have to pay for it, so it's a monthly subscription thing. So you go there, you pay them, then you kind of open up this window that looks sort of like an editing suite. I've posted some pictures of the editing process that I do for my EAS stuff, and it kind of looks like a dumbed down version of that with it's kind of like a chat bubble kind of thing with audio waveforms. It's hard to describe. And I'm not going to show it because I don't want them getting pissed at me for whatever stupid reason. And I'm not even going to spell it. Okay. If the closed captioning picks it up or whatever, I don't care, whatever. So this site here, you can go in and you can go down to the prompt here because it's fully AI, and you type in something like, an hour-long radio broadcast simulation of two people covering a major earthquake scenario where the entire Earth gets destroyed, and it originates from Yellowstone, and give me people calling into the radio station, switch between personalities. And what you can do is you can design the voices or choose voices that are in their library already. So here's one of the ones you might have heard. I'm not going to play it, but one of the ones that you probably have heard on a lot of these channels is the nude broadcaster. That'd be fun. The news broadcaster Marcus Hale. Now, if that name rings a bell for you, that is one of the standard voices that is used in these AI productions that's available on these websites. So anytime you hear Marcus Hale, that is absolutely 100% AI. So what it does, you give them that prompt, you type it in, you hit return, and it sits there and it chews on it, right? And it just kind of works it with its algorithms and everything. And then it will spit out a complete radio drama or audio drama or whatever you want in terms of an audio production. It'll create it, it'll spit it out, and it'll let you edit it however you want. The thing, though, is 90% of these dum-dums don't go back and listen to the whole thing and edit it. And so you get a lot of weird things, like one that I heard a couple weeks ago that really got me. And I just had to nope out of it because after like 10 minutes, NASA was one of the main players in the story, and the frigging AI kept saying NASA. And so, like, it would, if NASA was in a sentence like twice and in a paragraph 3 times, you got to hear NASA, 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 and it was just annoying as hell because it just takes you completely out of it, right? So that's part of the problem that comes with the AI thing. You can just go to a site, you type in some stuff, kaboom, it gives you everything that you need, and it even will gather sound effects and plug them in. So if on a lot of these you hear sound effects that seem rather like they're so generic and they're plugged in maybe the wrong places and they're not maintained for several seconds or minutes or whatever it is, that's because the AI doesn't know how to place that stuff in the right context. Which brings us to the other huge issue when it comes to AI-produced EAS dramas or anything that deals with emotion and catastrophe for for mankind, and that is emotion. These AI people, no matter how good they are, no matter how good they're getting, and by the way, you can program in like mistakes. Them saying stuff like or them saying they'll kind of do that stuff, or they'll make little flubs in the middle of sentences, like it's programmed in, but it is so obvious still right now that you can tell that it's completely AI, and it's those moments throughout that really just break the entire facade, like the entire experience. It breaks the fantasy, right? And so what happens is you're really getting into it, and then all of a sudden there's just garbage, like the fake voice doesn't know how to process millions of lives being snuffed out for whatever reason in the catastrophe scenario. And so you'll get the AI it kind of gives you an impression that there's emotion or urgency or, oh my gosh, that's really horrible kind of thing, like, but they say it more than you feel it in the voices. And when they try to do the emotion in the voices through the AI system, it either sounds really forced or really weird, out of place, or the inflection on words is wrong. There's one that I heard. Oh boy, it's a catastrophe of, what is it? I think it's Nibiru coming in is the scenario. And again, I'll get to that stuff in a second. It's Nibiru coming, and it's gonna strike. It's gonna come close to the Earth and mess everything up and kill everybody. And the DJ takes a phone call at one point during his broadcast. And it is one of the most obvious AI voices. If you know true crime, if you listen to a lot of true crime, there was someone who did a thing on JonBenet Ramsey, and the voice that is used, that they use, the AI voice that they read the ransom note from in that video, is the one that they use. Is the DJ gets a phone call from that guy. So he's like, talking about, oh, this is me, and I am an old person, and I'm sitting here just enjoying my life, and like it goes on, and then he shares like this deep wisdom at the end where mankind rebuilds, we always survive. And the DJ, because it's AI, comes back and says, well, thanks for that. So it's like, is he trying to be sarcastic? Like, fuck you, old guy, this is an a planet coming to hit us? Or is it's just the AI not understanding the context, that's what it actually is, right? And so it just breaks it. You just start laughing in the middle of it because this old guy for 2 minutes was there telling, his wisdom that he's gained his entire life. And then the DJ's like, whatever, bitch, like it's just, it takes you out of it. And then, okay, so here's the other really big issue that I have, which is why I'm not going to be doing EAS scenarios as a common thing on my channel. I'm not going to be cranking out 3 a week or even 1 a month, or maybe even 1 every quarter. This isn't something I'm going to do very often. And again, I'll get to that in a second too. But it's not something that I want to do often, because these channels that just churn this garbage out, just hour after hour after hour of just nonsense AI slop, when you put out that many videos, you can't just keep doing the same scenarios, right? So there's a life cycle for these channels, and it's really kind of funny, and it's really obvious to see if you zoom out a little bit and look at these channels. Go look at their video, like the videos on their channel, and just scroll through them, and go from oldest to newest, right? So when a channel starts doing EAS stuff, they'll start doing the big ones, right? So you have asteroid hits Earth, zombies, of course, Nibiru is often one, Yellowstone exploding, giant earthquakes. Let's see, what are the other ones that come up? Like a fast freeze, or a fast something happens to the sun and everything gets heated up and explodes. And then when you kind of run out of those main ideas, you kind of have to start getting creative. Or in these cases, you have to start getting the AI more creativity to work with. Like, give me some crazy ass scenario that I haven't thought of yet, So you start getting things like aliens. Okay, well, that's still kind of good. And then you start getting like, we got a message from another dimension, and you're like, okay. And then there's a parallel universe about to collide with ours, and you're like, what? And then, there's a message from the future that maybe change humanity, but it's not. It's just them telling us about what? Okay, so, and then you get to things like franchises. And I don't want to be mean here about this one, because if you are into the genre of EAS stuff, you might know what channel I'm talking about here. And I'm not going to mention them specifically, but you will know. They're a channel that uses... they use AI in a different way from a different site. And I'm not going to give away that site either, because this he's got a decent channel. He uses AI that uses the voices of celebrities and old newscasters and things like that. So you'll hear, should I give it away? Alfred Hitchcock. You'll hear Alfred Hitchcock giving narration. You'll hear Tom Brokaw, Peter Jennings. You'll hear people like Robin Williams and Jack Nicholson and Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart. You'll hear that occasionally on there, and he uses the entire scenario is with all these voices that you recognize, or that you might kind of recognize. If you're a little bit younger, you might know them from like tropes or stereotypes or things like that. Just kind of the common pop knowledge that goes on. You probably know the voices, so you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. The problem is he has gone through the life cycle so hard. He's done zombie stories like 9-10 times, but he keeps recycling them into different franchises, right? So first it's just zombies, and then it's zombies that have a special feature about them, and then it's going into Resident Evil, and then it goes into the George Romero movies, and then it goes back to Resident Evil, and then it goes into, The Walking Dead, and then it goes, into these things, and then other franchises start popping up like Doom and Cthulhu stuff, and like very specific ones. There was one that was based on a Nick Cage movie from a few years ago, and I was like, okay, that's an interesting one to pull from. And like, you just keep getting weirder and weirder scenarios, and so they become less and less about the experience, about the horror, about the analog kind of experience that goes into what you want, and instead it just goes into this like fantastical fairy tale. And that's cool, right? If you want that, and you've been evolving along with that channel, I guess you can kind of go, yeah, these are cool. And I get into a lot of them as well. I like, after my wife goes to bed, she goes to bed a little bit earlier because of her job. I stay up probably another 6.5 hours after she goes to bed. And I can't just like be out here making a video in the living room with my VR headset, yelling and screaming and laughing and stuff. I can't do that. And I can't get on here and do a podcast because, well, again, I might get loud and there's noises and random stuff like that. And so instead, I sit down and relax with things like EAS scenarios. Yes, I sit down and relax and chill out in a kind of, they got the candles going in the living room and kind of chilling out with some dimmer lights. And I get to, just kind of sit back and listen to dozens of scenarios where the world ends. And of course, nuclear war is one of the big ones that everyone covers because, yeah, the nuclear war is a big thing going on right now, right? And so when I got my first one, I was like, well, I have a running joke on my channel. That is, I never cover news. I don't do drama. I don't do politics. And I won't do news specifically unless it's something that we all can't avoid, like an asteroid coming to blow up the planet. And I've made a couple of jokes of that. And the only the only videos that I've done on my channel that have been about asteroids specifically were the ones when we thought that asteroid was going to come hit us, and it's still the one that has a chance to hit the moon. And so, yeah, I did a couple episodes on that because it's something that I've always, I was one of those people that when I was younger, we discovered the asteroid Orphoeus. And there was a point where it had a much higher number on the what's called the Torino scale, which is the how bad is it going to fuck up the planet scale, and it had a number more than 0, which scared everybody. And I started tracking this thing. I had like dot matrix printers where I'd print out all the coordinates as it moved and stuff. I was an asteroid watcher, the near Earth orbit observation project by JPL and stuff. I've always kind of followed that stuff. And so of course, if I'm going to do something that's my first disaster scenario, I want to do an asteroid. But where do you lead with that? Okay, well, nuclear war is the next kind of logical thing for me because, well, I mean, I grew up in the Cold War, okay? I grew up during the time when the Cold War was very, very solid in the world. And it was this idea that basically at any time, Russia could get pissed off and launch some missiles, and then we would launch the missiles, and then, oh my God, you know how that goes, right? Okay, so the problem that I have with most channels that do those is that they get into these details, all right? Wow, there's a military plane going over. Fun. They get into these details about just everything, right? So they'll open this nuclear scenario and they're like, oh, the tensions between Russia and Ukraine have been escalating, and then NATO gets involved, and what does the United States do? What do the leaders that we have do? Let's hear from all these people, right? And then it goes into this hour-long or hour-and-a-half-long scenario where you get to hear like mainstream media telling you frantic messages about the escalation, and you get to hear from experts that, when I was studying the dynamics of the Cold War back in 1983, okay, or they do stuff like that. They'll do, the individual launch locations that they'll just keep adding names and lists and stuff to. So you get, by the time you're in like the middle or the last third of the scenario, there's like 43 cities that are all named in different places, and like they're targeting this area specifically. So if you're in this area, make sure that you have this list of supplies that we all know about. Okay, we all know what to do if there's some sort of disaster. You don't have to seal all doors and windows. Make sure you turn off your AC and stuff like that. And I did that in the last one, right? But that was an asteroid. So it's like, what are we supposed to do? And the government's like, here, just have some information, right? But for this one, when it's a nuclear scenario, you know what to do. You basically grab your ass and hang on, right? There's not a lot you can do except get somewhere safe and don't go outside. And so instead of doing that, these other EAS channels, like, they drag it out and they tell you, make sure that you have clothes, food, weapons, supplies, water, canned food, non-perishable items, first aid items, clothing. Make sure that you do this. Radioactive fallout is bad because it's dust that you can inhale, and it just goes on and on and on. And then you get, it just builds, and there's so much information that you get by the time anything good happens that you're just like, if you're chilling, if you're just doing something like I would, where you kick back and you're just kind of relaxing at the end of the day, you're going to get lost in all those dumb details, right? So I find myself on some of these that I'm just trying to chill. All of a sudden, like, I'll start listening really hard, and I'm like, what? Where the hell am I in this story? What's going on? Like, who's mad at who? What the fuck? What's going on here, right? And then I'll have to like rewind. I'll have to tap my screen to rewind to go back like a couple minutes and figure out like, So there's a official in China that called an official in the Ukraine who then talked to a diplomat who went over to the U.S. embassy, which suddenly got blown up, and so he had to make a phone call. And you're like, what the fuck am I even listening to at this point, right? There's too much shit going on. You just can't figure out like what is happening. And so I just decided with mine, I'm going to cut all that bullshit out, right? I'm going to get rid of all of that stupid stuff that you're just going to get bogged down in with your brain, right? And so instead, I decided, what if you had a scenario where you're sitting at home and you've got this old radio station that just kind of plays, chill out music all the time. There's kind of a cool, fun DJ. That's me, by the way. A cool, fun DJ that's just kind of taking over on the night shift and, kind of just another normal night. Hey, everybody, what's going on? We're going to look at the weather. It's pouring out there, that kind of stuff. And so what you hear in that EAS scenario when I come back from music breaks or whatever, that's me actually slipping into my DJ voice, right? So that's me when I was a DJ. And you hear me kind of slowly lose my mind as things go along the way. And so what I wanted to do was this completely like claustrophobic kind of situation. An analog horror where you are trapped in this studio with me as the DJ, and there's literally nothing you can do about it, right? Unless you just turn it off, right? But why would you do that? Because there's like shit is hitting the fan, and you're stuck with me. I'm not going to give away what's going on with it, but needless to say, you are trapped with me basically in that studio, and you have no other way to figure things out except for with me. But the thing is, everything is so vague and so undefined by the government that there's this total panic, right? Because you're suddenly you as the listener, if you're in this story and you're actually listening, you start looking up the sky and you're like, whoa, oh shit, right? And so that's the feeling that I wanted to get. No fluff, no, huge sets of details. I didn't run it through Grok. I didn't have an AI write the script for me, so there's not all these dumb details and everything that it thinks are important when you do this stuff. I specifically stripped out all the bullshit. And so what you get, instead of an hour-long presentation or a 90-minute presentation, you get about 25 minutes. But in that 25 minutes, you go from normal everyday life to the world has now ended for Mr. DJ, right? And for all of you that aren't listening. And so that's the thing, that's the hook that I'm going for in this. It is something where I want it to be this total existential horror, where you're stuck in this analog radio station with this old DJ who's been doing this for years, and suddenly the first major thing that happens is a holy shit moment, right? And so that's what I'm going for with this one. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's something that you really liked to listen to. And so along those lines, I came up with an idea that I wanted to do for the channel. And since I'm doing the EAS kick kind of thing, I get on these kicks. I'm autistic. Give me a break. The last one that I got on was the create my own music and a K-pop group kick. Go find that on my channel if you really like K-pop or music in general. I started making music for, there's another podcast on that. Go find it. Anyway, so in the light of who I am, and if you have seen my channel before, you might know that I'm quite the Whovian. I am a Doctor Who fan like crazy. I have 4 tattoos on my arms that are Doctor Who themed. Our entire house is Doctor Who themed. Basically, I have like 45 TARDISes in this house. I think at last count. We had a Doctor Who themed wedding, Mrs. Orpheus and I, years and years ago. We had our Doctor Who themed wedding. I was dressed like the 12th Doctor. Anyway, so needless to say, I'm a deep Doctor Who fan. And so I was just sitting here in the kitchen, sitting over there in the kitchen, and I'm watching a Doctor Who episode, and I was like, oh, I think I'll just chill out. The wife's gone to bed. I'm done watching this episode, and I'm going to go watch some EAS stuff. And I opened YouTube, and all of a sudden, it was just like this lightning bolt goes, when I'm like, Doctor Who themed EAS scenario. Oh, yes. Right. So I got this idea to do a Doctor Who themed EAS scenario. So what the basic idea is going to be, I'm going to try to build this kind of slow because I want it to be good. And I'm not really sure how long it's going to take me. And there's a reason for that I'll get to in a couple minutes as well. But what I want to do is a scenario that is the Daleks and the Cybermen come to attack. But they're not in London, they're not in Mumbai, they're not in, anywhere that's well-known, like a well-known location. They're in your town. They've decided to take over your town because of whatever resource in the area it looks good, and there is this effort to attack starting from that point. Your town, Middle America, wherever it is, right? And so I'm the DJ, and again, it's just another normal night, just like every other night. Hey, 94.7 WXRK. I just kind of chilling out, maybe even a little bit of a stoner, right? Like I might make that one more like a, hey, everybody, WXRK, how's it going? Kind of thing. And so what happens is this drama unfolds outside, this battle, this frigging like horrible, there's metal men in the streets and they're killing people while yelling delete, right? And I'll have like these sound effects and stuff in the background, and I'll cover that also in just a second. And like, the sound effects from the Daleks, and they're just wreaking havoc, and all of a sudden there's this sound and this blue box drops right in the center of the city where I can see it because my station is right there. You've seen those stations in like downtown that have those big windows in them where you can see the DJs doing stuff. So, boom, this big blue box lands in the middle of the town, and all of a sudden this man steps out, and it's the guy who introduced himself as the Doctor, right? And so all of a sudden I have no clue as the DJ what's going on. This is not in the universe where Doctor Who exists, right? This is in a universe where it's just our universe, right? And all of a sudden there's these like these trash cans and metal men rumbling around killing everybody, and then this lunatic shows up and starts doing all this crazy stuff to defeat them, and it just goes on, and it just keeps getting more and more chaotic until bing, you get this big climax in the story, and everything goes and gets good at the end. And so I'm going to build this thing kind of slow as I go along, but I got to be really, really careful. I was asked a question by a listener about this. What doctor are you going to go with, right? Which one is this going to be? Is it going to be David Tennant? Is it going to be Peter Capaldi or Matt Smith? Or are you going to go with Christopher Eccleston or something? Oh, are you going to go with one of the older guys, right? John Pertwee or something like that? No, I'm not going to do any of those. I don't want to get in trouble by the BBC. So there are fan tribute things that are allowed, okay? You can take the general universe of most properties and do some sort of thing that can be framed as a tribute so that you don't mess with copyright stuff, right? So while I can do general villains from the Doctor Who universe, like the Daleks or the Cybermen, or anything like that, or the Silence, even something like that. I can use those as long as they're not like the main feature of it. Like I just keep playing audio from them talking to everybody, right? It's like they're in the room and they're just conducting their whole invasion from my studio. I can't do that, right? But I can use them in context in the background and sometimes as major things, like they can talk to me on a radio, on like a phone call or something, right? But in that line, I cannot use a proper noun like person as the villain. So I can't use like the master or the toy maker or someone specific from the universe. I can't do that, right? But what I can do is I can make up a villain that is, it's just something that is just, I picked something that sounds Doctor Who-ish and there's a bunch of little details in there that make it sound even more Doctor Who-ish. And the doctor that I'm going to be using is going to be one that I create, okay? He's not going to be me. My British accent is good, but it still sounds like me, just with the British accent. And so I can't play the doctor myself because it wouldn't work to have me talking to myself. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm sculpting an AI voice in order to use that as the doctor. But again, it's not going to be the doctor and me talking back and forth for an hour. It's not going to be me talking to Daleks back and forth for an hour. And so the presentation is not going to be dominated by AI voices. Just like my normal EAS ones, the two that I've done now, the only AI voices that you hear are the emergency alert system ones, and those are text to speech. They're not AI voices. I'm actually using the modulators. Maybe not so much in the first one. Those are just like generalized, almost Windows text to speech, right? But in this one that I just did, that is the actual emulator that's used for the EAS alerts that they do now, in the United States at least. And so that's just a text to speech. I don't use AI. Someone, I guess, asked me for my first one, why do you use AI? I don't use AI. That was me. That was me. I wrote the script. I asked Grok for a general framework to place my text into, right? So it's like I got like basically a template that was written for me of here's where you put this, here's where the DJ would talk, here's where a sound effect would go. But it was just for reference so I could see what a script like that would look like again, because it's been a long time and I have brain damage. Give me a break. I needed a kind of a foundational structure to look at. But none of the details that you hear in that are written by Grok, and neither are any of the voices. It's all me. So what I wanted to do is I want to keep it minimum. I want to keep it as minimum as possible. So you're going to get lines like, hello, I'm the doctor, or, oh, you're Orpheus, I've heard of you, or something like that. But it's not going to be the doctor giving a victory speech for a minute and a half, or Peter Capaldi doing a victory speech, or, any of the actors. I'm not going to rip any audio from episodes of those actors doing their voice, because at that point, the BBC, not just the BBC, will get in touch with me. The actors' agents will also be getting in touch with me with cease and desist orders and with copyright strikes and all that stuff. And I'm just some dude on the internet who has a silly channel. I don't want it to be shut down because, Peter Capaldi's agent and lawyer decided that I was a scrub, right? I don't want that to happen, so I'm not going to do that. So instead, I just kind of create a loose framework called a fan tribute and go from there. But it is going to be an EAS scenario. It's going to be goofy as hell because there's no way I can do Doctor Who has always been kind of a goofy show for the BBC. They started with such a low budget that like the old episodes, the classic episodes, you can see like so many things like cardboard fraying. You see things bouncing and bending and all that stuff all the time. And it's amazing because they had no budget. So they reused a lot of the costumes that they had from other BBC shows. And it's just so obvious back then. So I want to keep that kind of old idea of the cheesiness that the Doctor has developed over the years. How they're now like a cheeky kind of half jerk, half savior kind of thing. So I want to create my own. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably post a couple of examples and have you guys vote on which one you like, whether it's going to be an older guy or younger guy, someone that's a little bit more chaotic and crazy, or a little bit more warm and like knowledgeable. So we'll work that out. I'm hoping to get that out by the end of the summer. And here comes the next part about this that I need to cover. And that is, during the summer, it is very difficult for me to make content. There are several reasons for why this is the case. I'm not going to go into all of them specifically, but there are several reasons why I can't really make content during the summer, at least not in any, constant capacity. And if this is something, if you followed my channel before, you'll know that I kind of take a couple of breaks during the year. Okay. And during those breaks, it's because of various things. Whether it's the holiday season or the summer or whenever, there are certain times that I'm just not able to create the kind of content that I normally make. And so we're coming up on one of those periods of time. Thankfully, though, a lot of this is going to be quick voiceover sessions. There's not going to be a lot of like a ton of dialogue. Honestly, it's just going to be really simple, stripped down. Guy loses his mind over shit he doesn't understand, and just a lot of sound in the background and sound effects and stuff that you'll recognize and stuff that you'll learn and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be fun, but it's going to take me a bit to really build that in the environment that I'm going to be in over the summer. That's going to be more difficult for me to work in. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to do a couple videos on and off before then and during the summer as well. But I just wanted to tell you, kind of explain a little bit on why it's important to me to have to do this stuff. I think it's just fun. It's really fulfilling for me to do, and it's something that I'm learning more about as I go along. But I kind of wanted to put it up as this bastion against the AI garbage that's being cranked out by these channels. If they're putting out like 6 videos a month and they're all EAS scenarios, they're not doing the work themselves. I'm sorry, they're not. You're not doing that much work. You're just putting in a prompt, and maybe you're putting some music in or some sound effects under it and uploading it. But again, I don't think you are. I think you guys are just typing in prompts, downloading the stuff from the website, and then just wholesale, adding some front and back stuff, and then just dumping it up to YouTube and release it. I don't think there's a lot of thought behind it. I don't think there's a lot of effort behind it, and there's certainly no human connection behind it. When something awful happens in my EAS videos, you hear the emotion, because I have been trained as an actor. Okay, I have been an actor. I have been a musician. I have been a musical theater person. And so I have had a lot of training and work, but I also have a lot of pain that I draw on in order to get the emotion that you hear. And so a lot of what you hear out of me when I lose my mind towards the end of these things, I'm actually getting into that in my headspace. And so you're hearing what I imagine I would sound like in that situation, and it's real. Okay, as real as it can be for an audio drama, right? But it's me giving you the emotions that are appropriate for that situation, the context that's important, the horror behind it. And I like getting you to be able to feel, to experience that horror. Just let yourself slip a little bit and like, hey, let's watch the world come to an end, right? Anyway, that's my thing for today. Oh, how long here? About 45 minutes. Cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it gives you a little bit more explanation on what are you doing, Orpheus? Why all this random shit on your channel lately? It's fun. This channel's always been just kind of an outlet for me. And so I put out stuff that's fun. So I hope you subscribed. I hope you like everything that I'm doing. Go back, watch some of it. Maybe it'll give you a little bit more context on why I build these things and why I do some of the stuff on my channel. Anyway, we'll see you next time here on Orpheus Plays. Be good, do good, and treat yourself well, because you know what? You absolutely deserve it and you should do it. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye.